Hey everyone, today we're going to be testing out a new brand that I just found at Walmart. Everything is $10 and the brand is called Screensaver Beauty. So the whole concept behind them is that they're supposed to protect your skin from the damaging effects of blue light from screens and devices. Now I know that this is kind of a controversial topic and I'm not really versed on how all of the science works and all of that. So I'm really just going to be sticking to reviewing the makeup as it is, how it performs and wears and all of that versus the blue light thing, because there's no way for me to really test that anyway. But regardless of whether it protects your skin or not, it's just nice to have more options at the drugstore at affordable prices. So I'm excited for that. So let's go ahead and jump right in and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and just get into it. I just want to mention quickly, all of these products contain calcium sodium borosilicate, which is that ingredient that's supposed to protect your skin from blue light. If you want to read up on it, I'll go ahead and link an article down in the description box that talks about all of the clinical trials and how this ingredient protects you. So let's start out with the primer first. So this is called the Face Filter Luminizing Primer. I love the packaging, by the way. All of these are just such a pretty blue color. Like everything in the line, this is $10, and these products don't really seem to have long descriptions on the website. This one just says that it minimizes the look of dullness and imperfections while leaving the skin feeling soft and smooth. So pretty standard description for a primer. It doesn't say anything about smoothing pores or fine lines. It also doesn't talk about like gripping your makeup or helping it to last longer. So I don't know, I guess we'll just have to kind of see how it goes. All right, I just put a little bit on the back of my hand. Let's just start working it in. Oh, this actually has, how do I describe this? It feels like a silicone primer, but there's almost like an oiliness to it, and not in a bad way. Like, it doesn't feel greasy, but have you ever tried one of those creams or lotions that say that they're like a cream oil hybrid? It kind of feels like that, which actually could be a good thing, because I know whenever I put a facial oil on and then my foundation on top, it tends to just look so smooth. So if you have like a more dry skin type, you may have tried that trick. I don't know how it works for oily skin types though. It might just make your foundation break up. So I'm really curious to see how this works. But as a dry skin person, this feels really nice. It's almost giving me YSL Touche Éclat primer vibes, because that one also has like an oil base. And again, I don't even know if this has an oil base. It just feels like it does. Actually, you know what? I have my computer right here. Let me just look it up and see. Okay, yes, I'm glad I looked this up. It actually has dimethicone near the top of the ingredient list, but then further down, it has jojoba seed oil, olive fruit oil, and meadow foam seed oil. So I guess it is, that's why it's reminding me of the Touche Éclat primer, because I don't know if that one has the same oils in it, but it definitely has oil. And I always love how my foundation sits on top of that one. So this is like a really great $10 alternative if you like that one too. All right, so far so good. We already kind of found possibly a dupe. Next, I'm just gonna apply my Believe Beauty foundation. This line does not currently have a foundation. They may expand over time, I guess, if the line does well. But I wanted to use this foundation just because it's the one that I feel like I use the most often. And I've used it over so many different primers and on bare skin. So I feel like I'll be able to tell how the primer is by using a foundation that I use regularly. I really didn't want to try anything new because I feel like then it's hard to tell. So I'm just picking this up with a beauty sponge and I'm just gonna start applying. I'm so curious to see how this goes on over the primer, because like I said, the YSL one just makes my makeup look so smooth. And actually the brand Joa at CVS used to have a YSL dupe. It even looked the same. It was kind of in the same packaging and it had the little gold flecks in the formula. And that one also felt identical. I remember talking about that in dupe videos in the past, but they discontinued that one, which I was so bummed about. So I feel like this could be a really good alternative, especially heading into the fall and winter, because that's when I used to use the YSL and the Joa one the most. I feel like the oils just really prevent your foundation from looking like really dry and cakey. It just looks so smooth. All right, so I think this foundation is looking so good. Let me just zoom you guys in quick. I mean, I have to say this foundation always looks pretty good, but it has a little bit of glow coming through from the oils in the primer, and it just looks so smooth. Like, it doesn't cling to any dry patches, and I don't feel like the primer prevented it from sticking to my nose. And that's one of the things I really love about this foundation, is that it sticks to those trouble spots like your nose and chin. So the primer didn't prevent it from doing that. I think my only concern is that it might break up the foundation throughout the day. The YSL one doesn't do that, but obviously this is a different formulation, so I'll definitely be doing a wear test and we'll see how it goes. All right, next up, let's check out the eyeshadow palette. So these are called the Eyescaping palette, again, $10. And they're 9-pan palettes that come in 2 different versions. There's one that has like some cool blue shades mixed with neutrals. And then there's one that's more of a blue-gray color story, and it's a little bit more smoky. So to be honest, when I was swatching these out, I really didn't feel like the formula was super impressive. The matte shades are really soft, but they're also very sheer. Like, I had to build up each swatch a few times just to kind of get it to show up well. And I felt like the shimmers are really smooth. They're not chunky, which is nice, but they were also really firmly pressed into the pan. So they don't have that like creamy, buttery feel that some shimmers have. I felt like they showed up nicely in a swatch, but I just had to work to pick them up on my finger a little bit. So we'll have to see. Sometimes palettes don't always swatch the best and then they apply really nicely. I know that happened to me recently with the new NYX Ultimate palette. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. I did want to just note quickly that this palette has this gold shade down here, and it's a topper, but it's kind of like, you might have seen in the swatches, it hardly shows up at all. It just really looks like a wash of glitter. So this was probably the most disappointing out of all of the shimmer shades. The other palette, I felt like the shimmers were all fine, and the other ones in this palette were also fine, but that one was really, really disappointing. And I think I'm probably going to use the blue palette today just because I feel like it'll go with my outfit a little bit more. But I'm staring at this blue palette and trying to figure out what I'm going to use as a crease color, because there really isn't one. You have this lighter kind of ivory matte right here, and then this really dark charcoal gray down here. So I might have to just use both palettes, and I guess I'll just grab a transition or crease color from here and we'll see how that works out. But really there isn't a good one in here either. We have this light brown, which I think I'm going to try to use, but it's really, really light. So I don't even know how well it's going to show up on me, but let's see. All right, so I'm just going to start blending this into the crease. I'm not really seeing anything. I was gonna say I'm not seeing much, but I actually don't see anything at all. Yeah, I think this is too light to use as a transition. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on this eye just in case it's showing up a little. I don't want it to get messed up. All right, so maybe if these shadows are really sheer, I could get away with using a darker color. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pick up this gray on my little Sigma E27 brush. This is the little detail brush that I normally use for my outer corner. So I'm gonna put this like in my outer corner and then maybe just blend it up toward the crease and see if that works out. So let's see. Oh yeah, okay. I don't even know what I was afraid of, because this looks like a really dark color in the pan. Like, here it is. It looks almost black. It's like a deep charcoal gray. But on my eye, it's actually a really soft gray. I could probably just go straight into my crease with this shade and be fine. So let's try it on my fluffy brush. Yeah, I feel like the fluffy brush kind of shears these out even more. There's really almost no pigment behind these. That's actually kind of disappointing. I was hoping these palettes were going to be really good. I feel like it's blending out okay. Like, it doesn't look patchy, but it's just so sheer. And I also don't want to look like I have a black eye either. All right, you know what? I'm just going to grab my good old Stone Cold Fox palette from ColourPop, and I'm just going to take a shade for transition. Maybe I'll use this one, which is a really light pale gray. I think that might just smooth out the crease a little bit. Like, I just want to make this one blend a little bit better and try to save this eye look as much as I can. Yeah, I think that just kind of softened everything up. All right, so I don't know if I love how it's coming out so far, but let's press on. We're gonna do maybe this blue right here on the lid and see how this works out. So I normally use the NYX glitter primer on my lids before I apply shimmer shades, but I recently got a couple comments asking if I could at least do one eye without that so we can see how the shadows perform not on top of glitter glue. So I'm gonna put it on this eye first, just bare, and then I'll use the glitter glue on the other eye and we'll see how it goes. So all right, so this is applying okay. There's no fallout and it feels really smooth, but it also doesn't have like a lot of oomph to it. It's just more of a satiny finish, which is not a bad thing. I feel like a lot of people might actually prefer that over something really sparkly. So that's what it looks like without glitter primer. And then I'll just put the glitter primer on my other lid and we'll see if there's a difference. I love this color, by the way. It's beautiful. Okay, yeah, the glitter primer made it way more intense. And this color actually has a little bit of a shift to it. It looks like it actually shifts like from blue to purple. Let me just zoom you guys in so you can see better. So yeah, here it is on top of the glitter primer. Like, look at how beautiful that shade is. It just came alive when I put it on top of that. So I'm gonna try to recreate it with setting spray, and I'm just gonna apply it wet on this side, and we'll see if that helps kind of even things out a little bit. Not as much. I mean, it's a little bit better, but it's not as intense as the side with the glitter primer. So I do think it's important to see the difference for those of you who don't use a glitter primer, that this is really what it's going to turn out like. But I'm just going to try to see, like, if I put glitter primer on top of this, if then I can add more and even them out, because I don't really want to look lopsided today. All right, there we go. Next up, they also don't have a mascara in the Screensaver line, so I'm going to be using the new Clinique High Impact Hi-Fi Volume Mascara. I talked about this in my last video, actually, and that one was full of recommendations from you guys. And this just came out recently, and I don't think I've ever loved a Clinique mascara, so I wasn't planning on buying it. But there were a few of you who told me, like, you need to check this out. And then when I went on the Sephora website, it had like 5 stars. So I figured I would, and if you've seen the video, you know how much I love it. And if you haven't, like, it is seriously amazing. This stuff gives me lashes that I didn't even know I had. Like, it gives me double the volume of my regular lashes. It's just amazing. And it also is really long lasting. It doesn't clump. I'm really, really impressed with this formula so far. So if you guys have tried it, definitely let us know your thoughts. Okay, moving on to cheeks, we have the Shiny and New Highlight and Blush Stick. So this has a highlighter on one end and a blush on the other. Again, I love the packaging. This blue color is so pretty, and I definitely like having a blush and highlighter in one. It's great for travel. I have some from Wander Beauty, and I really like those. This one only came in this one color selection. So again, I don't know if they're gonna be expanding down the road, but right now this is the only one you get. The blush is called Boot Up, and the highlighter is called Supercharged Champagne. So why don't we try the blush first? I'm gonna try it with both a sponge and a brush, and we'll see how it applies with both. So I'm just gonna pick up some on the sponge first. Ooh, this is a really pretty color. I mean, again, it's very light. It's not showing up a lot, at least with the sponge. Let me just get a little bit more. That's the nice thing about blush. You can always build it up. Yeah, so that's definitely showing up. It's really pretty, and it's also not a sticky blush. It's pretty much drying down right away, which is good. Yeah, I think this color is really nice. It's very natural looking. Next, I'm just picking up some product on the angled face brush from Profusion. By the way, if you haven't tried Profusion's brushes, they're amazing. I use them just as much as I use my high-end brushes. They're really soft and super affordable. I wish they carried more of them in store though. When I go to Walmart, they don't seem to have the individual brushes, at least at my Walmart. They only have a set of like 3 face brushes, and then they have another set with some eye brushes, but it's not everything they have. Their website has like a lot more. And as much as I don't like to have to order things from the website, I feel like these are definitely worth it. So anyway, this is applying basically the same with the brush as it did with the sponge. I don't feel like it went on more pigmented. I still had to build it up in a few different layers. So for some of you who don't like an overly pigmented blush, I think that would be a good thing. For others, it might not be enough for you. It's definitely more of a sheer color. I would say it's geared more toward my skin tone, like a fair to light. I think deeper skin tones ones might have a harder time getting this to show up. And then the highlighter, I guess I'll do the same thing. I'll try it with the sponge first, and then we'll do a brush on the other side. So I'm just gonna press this in with the back of the sponge. I don't see anything. Hold on, let's try again. I still don't see anything. Okay. As much as I don't want to do this, I think I'm just gonna swipe it on with the stick and see if I can get more product that way. All right, there we go. Now I can actually see it. I'm just gonna blend it with the sponge now. I just find that sometimes when you like swipe it directly on with the stick, it can lift your foundation. It didn't seem to do that though. It actually feels really silky. But again, a very, very subtle highlight. Some of you are really gonna love that. It doesn't seem to have glitter or sparkle, so it's just a really natural looking highlight. I actually like it. It was a little bit problematic just to get it to show up, but once it did, it's really pretty. All right, so next up I have a couple of lip products. Oh shoot, I forgot about this one. This is the setting powder. This is called the Face Filter Priming and Setting Powder. So apparently this is the type of powder that you can use under your foundation as a primer, or you can just use it for setting, which is what I'm gonna do today. It has kind of a yellow tone to it, but it seems to go on pretty translucent. So since I did my cheeks already, I'm not gonna set my cheeks, but maybe I'll just do like my forehead, nose, and chin with this one. So I'm gonna pick this up with the Profusion Round Powder Brush. This is an amazing powder brush, by the way. It's so huge, it's really fluffy. All right, let's see what this does. It definitely mattified my forehead. Let's do the nose. All right, so it looks fine on my forehead and nose. My chin, it kind of grabbed weird. Let me just zoom you guys in. All right, so forehead looks fine. It looks smooth. The nose, I don't really see any powder like clinging to it. My chin is starting to look a little bit cakey though. I don't know if that's actually the makeup separating like with the primer or if it was the powder. So I guess we'll just have to watch it and see what happens. All right, so now moving on to lips, we have the Lip Filter lipstick, and this packaging looks so much like About Face. If you've seen that brand at Ulta, their lip products have pretty much the same packaging. I guess they got them from the same manufacturer. This one also only comes in this one shade, and it has a rounded style bullet. The color actually looks really dark in the tube, but when I swatched it out, I realized this is kind of a Clinique Black Honey sort of a vibe. I think it's that sheer black cherry color that's supposed to just look good on everybody. So, all right, let's see what happens. I don't know if it's gonna even go with the look that I'm wearing today. It does feel moisturizing. It actually feels like a tinted lip balm. And it has a little hint of a smell. It's like a really, really faint vanilla. I don't mind it at all. It's kind of like a really sheer cherry red. They also have a lip gloss in the line that comes in two colors, so I got both of them. One of them is a blue, the other one's a light peachy shade with sparkle in it. But I don't know how much this one is actually gonna do because when I swatched it, it's completely clear. And even the peachy one, it really doesn't have much color to it at all. It barely showed up. I could see just a hint of sparkle and just like a hint of color, but these are basically just clear glosses. One of them has shimmer in it and one of them doesn't. So I guess I'll just try to apply the peachy one on top of the lip color and see what happens. This also seems to have a really light kind of vanilla-like scent. It actually feels very nice. It's a thin gloss. It feels kind of more like a lip oil than a gloss, so you're not gonna get stickiness from it. It's not thick. It's a really weightless texture and it just adds a little bit of shine. So anyway, guys, a little bit of struggles in today's video, especially when it came to the eyeshadow palettes. The rest of the products I feel like were just okay. I think standouts for me so far are the primer, and I also really like the Lip Filter lipstick. I think this is just a really beautiful tinted balm in a universal color that I really do think would look nice on everybody. It's like a Your Lips But Better color, and it's also really comfortable to wear. As far as like the cheek stick, I mean, it's fine. It's not my favorite though. I felt like it took a lot of work just to get things to show up. The powder, I don't know, it didn't really do much. It's not bad, but it's not mind-blowing either. Same thing with the lip glosses. They're just clear lip glosses. So if you already have one you like, I don't know that you necessarily need these unless you're really worried about protecting your lips from blue light. And even though I was kind of able to make the eyeshadow palettes work, I think they're just not worth the struggle. So those are just my initial thoughts. But like I said, I'm just going to go about the rest of my day and we'll do a wear test. And when I come back, I will let you know my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. Hey y'all, I'm back. It's been about 7 hours or so. I was gonna go to the 8 or 9 hour mark, but it's my husband's birthday. We're gonna be having dinner in a little bit, so I just had to get this done a little bit early, but I pretty much already know what my feelings are on these products, and I'm largely disappointed. The eyeshadow palettes were just really difficult to work with. I think you can get a lot better formulas from brands like ColourPop for just a couple bucks more. Even the e.l.f. bite-size palettes that are a couple of dollars were just so much better than these. So I would definitely save your money as far as the eyeshadow palettes go, although the pigment held up pretty well throughout the day, so I can't complain about the lasting power. I just felt like they were really difficult to work with and very sheer, so I'm just not really impressed with those. Like I said, I don't have much of an opinion on the powder and the lip glosses. I feel like they're okay, but nothing to write home about, but they might be something worth checking out if you are worried about the effects of blue light on your skin. As far as the blush and highlighter stick go, I really love the colors of these. I think the highlight and the blush are perfect for my skin tone, but anybody who's probably deeper than a medium skin tone isn't really going to be able to use this. It's not going to show up, and even on me, I had difficulty, as you guys saw, just getting it to show up. I had to layer it and layer it a bunch of times, and at this point, the blush and the highlight have both faded so much. So I really wanted to love this, but I just don't think it's worth it. The two products that I do really like from the line are the lip filter lipstick. I did have to reapply it because it's not a super long-lasting product. It's more like a tinted lip balm, but I love the color. I think it's so flattering, and the balm itself feels really nice. It's super hydrating. So I do like this, and I also really like the primer. It reminds me a lot of the YSL Touche Éclat primer, which I talked about in the beginning. I think it's going to be really great for those of us with drier skin. Because it has those oils in it, it just makes my foundation look really smooth. I didn't notice any pore smoothing benefits, but it also didn't make my pores look worse. They just kind of look about the same as they always do. And I feel like my foundation held up really well throughout the day. I don't see it breaking up at all. So that's one thing that I was kind of nervous about because it has the oils in there. I wasn't sure how it was going to play with the foundation. So overall, these two products I would say are worth picking up if you happen to see this brand at Walmart, but the rest of it I would just avoid. I don't think it's worth the 10 bucks. I think there are definitely products out there that are better for the same money or less. So anyway, guys, I'm sorry this was such a bust. I had such high hopes and I was so excited for this brand that I ended up buying every single product in the line, but it just didn't live up to my expectations. So I'd love to hear from you guys if you've tried this already. What are your thoughts on this brand? Were you able to make some of the products work? I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have some extra time and you'd like to check out some more unsponsored makeup reviews, be sure to go ahead and click right here. I'll just put up a playlist with some of my other videos. And I want to thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. I really, truly appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in my next video. Take care, guys. Bye.